Hey there everyone, welcome back to another Game Vault video. As always, we had to beef you with the Game Vault, and right now Ubisoft is fighting a battle they cannot win with Assassin's Creed Shadows. Oh my god, these guys are in so much trouble. So much trouble. They just shut down their studio in England a few days ago, the one that did Assassin's Creed Assassin's Creed Outlaws. Star Wars Outlaws, and I think they worked on the Pandora game too, the one based on Avatar. And now they're saying that Assassin's Creed Shadows delay was to scale back Yasuke after the historical backlash. Oh, God. Anyway, let's cue up the music and we'll talk about this. So, that Park Place source has confirmed that Ubisoft delayed Assassin's Creed Shadows in order to make narrative cuts that severely limit the role of Yasuke in the story. Now, I've noticed in the last few pieces of, the marketing that's come out, it's all been about Naoe. It's all been about her, really highlighting her. There's been a little bit of Yasuke in there, but very, very little. Whereas in the beginning, it was all about him. And the shit hit the fan. Thomas Lockley was exposed as a fraud, and the backlash came out, and everybody went nuts. The internet caught on fire, and people like me were called racist and all those other horrible things, and we told everybody else to go to hell. It was all out war. It was freaking hilarious. I loved every minute of it, man. It was funny. But now it seems like, they've taken him out of the marketing quite a bit, and it looks like they're actually taking him out of the game, or at least lessening his role a little bit. Ubisoft made headlines recently by delaying the game a whole month and having the foresight to release it on the 30th anniversary date of the worst terrorist attack in modern history in Japan's sarin gas attack. Many assumed at the time the Shadows was a buggy mess, which it is, similar to Ubisoft's Star Wars Outlaws when it launched, and while that may have been true, we have it on good authority that there's something else going on behind the scenes, and as YouTube's host Skill Up mentioned, after playing the game for 5 hours, he primarily played as Yasuke, but noticed that the experience was vastly different and inferior compared to playing as Naoe. According to him, Yasuke lacks the same versatility as Naoe, not just in combat, but also in exploration. Surprisingly, Yasuke doesn't have the same opportunities, such as climbing higher towers. This gave the impression that Yasuke is locked into a more limited, one-dimensional role in the game. This aligns with the rumor recently communicated by that Park Place source. And, this is an anonymous source here talking about this kind of stuff. So, Yasuke always looked kind of like a tank. And quite frankly, how is this monster African guy going to be an assassin in feudal Japan? He's the only guy in the entire country that looks like him. He's a giant amongst the Japanese people. He's dressed all gaudy, in this finery of this samurai fine armor amongst all these peasants, running around with this club the size of most humans. He's no assassin. He's not going to get away with this kind of stuff. Now, she might be able to flitter around in the shadows a little bit and all that, so it does make sense, but marketing him as the prime protagonist was stupid in the first place, and basing the whole game on him was absolutely insane, and one of the biggest pandering moments I've ever seen in modern gaming. It was absolutely pathetic, and Ubisoft, you deserve to go down for this. You guys are suffering right now. You guys are in deep shit, and I really hope this game cuts your throat and destroys what's left of your company, because you guys deserve it. You honestly do. You guys deserve it. You screwed over your fan base for years now. You treated us like crap. You've put out inferior products time and time again. You hire garbage developers that don't know what they're doing. And yeah, you deserve to go down, man. I hope it happens. Anyway, according to our source, the $20 million delay of Assassin's Creed Shadows was not merely to polish the game, but to shift focus away from Yasuke as the main protagonist. Evidence of this can be seen in the marketing, where Yasuke is increasingly absent from prominent posters that feature Naoe more prominently instead. This appears to be a reaction from the backlash Ubisoft has faced, not only from longtime fans of the franchise, but also from many Japanese critics angered by Yasuke's portrayal as a far more significant historical figure than he actually was. Thanks, Thomas Lockley, you friggin' hack, Freaking jerk off. Furthermore, rumors suggest that many of Yasuke's quests, including main and side contact, have been removed. Wow. Or heavily altered. These cuts are reportedly intended to avoid offending Japanese audiences and historians who have criticized the game's historical inaccuracy. A significant portion of the controversy ties back to Thomas Lockley, whose work with Ubisoft allegedly used as, or whose work Ubisoft allegedly used as a primary inspiration for Yasuke's character. Yeah, work of fiction. Lockley, who co-authored African Samurai, the true story of Yasuke, a legendary black warrior in feudal Japan, has been accused of grossly exaggerating and fabricating much of Yasuke's history. His portrayal has been widely debunked by historians who argue that Yasuke was likely a bodyguard and servant rather than a legendary samurai, as Lockley claimed. We can pretty much guarantee that. Lockley's dismissal from discussions around the game has been subtle but noticeable. Ubisoft initially promoted him as a key source for the character, but has since gone silent on his involvement. This silence coincides with a wave of backlash from scholars, particularly in Japan, who criticize Lockley's claims as speculative at best and outright false at worst. Now, it's rumored that some of Yasuke's cut content in the game, including quests tied to his supposed rise as a samurai, were directly influenced by Lockley's work and later removed to avoid further controversy. Ubisoft's response to this backlash seems to include a shift in marketing focus, with greater emphasis on Naoe's parkour system and the game's shinobi elements. Trailers that initially highlighted Yasuke's samurai way during the game's announcements are now conspicuously less centered on him, reflecting a clear pivot in how the game is presented. Whether this last-minute reworking can salvage the project or not remains to be seen, but the changes seem like a desperate attempt to appease critics and salvage public perception. Boom. Here's another bad thing, though. Female shinobi, they were more infiltrators than they were frontline fighters. They weren't running around chopping people up and doing what Naoe's doing in the game. They would infiltrate an enemy's home, act as a servant, become a lover or something along those lines, and steal information, that sort of thing, and relay it on to, the people they worked with more so than what she's doing. So even she's a pretty bad character, pretty inaccurate and all that, but at least she's Japanese, I guess. Whatever. The delay was used to refine Naoe's parkour system significantly and to heavily alter many dialogue interactions between Yasuke, Naoe, and NPCs throughout the story. However, as our source mentions, they can only do so much. Among these dialogue changes were discussions where Yasuke was previously presented as a samurai and celebrated for his renown among Japanese NPCs. Now it seems this has been altered to focus on the creed, which will be built by both main characters, with Naoe taking a more prominent role. Ubisoft has also reworked cutscenes where Yasuke was initially featured more prominently, with Naoe now portrayed as the driving force of the duo. From what we understand, it feels almost as though Naoe has taken the lead role, even though players will still have the option to switch between the two characters. Our source also stated that delay was primarily aimed at reevaluating Yasuke's role to avoid further bad press from, quote, historical fanatics. Oh my God, man. Ubisoft apparently hates black people now. They just cut them out of the game. I'm going to make it so you guys, you just can't win this one. No, they shouldn't have done this in the first place. This was just outright pandering. I've seen a lot of gamers, black gamers, commenting on different videos saying, I'm black and I hate this. Why did they do this? This is pathetic. I didn't want this. Nobody wanted this. The only, who wanted this? White liberal douchebags. That's who wanted this. Black gamers didn't want this. They didn't want Yasuke. White women wanted it. That's who wanted it. White women. They're not even going to play the freaking game. White liberal women. God, man. Get them out of gaming completely. When Ubisoft goes down, I hope all these girls, they go get out of this industry altogether. They can go back to working on The Sims or wherever they came from, something like that, or doing that Hobbit game where, they're decorating the Shire. Ubisoft reportedly sought to minimize criticism from Japanese historians by making the game more historically accurate where possible. However, as seen in recent previews, many inaccuracies still remain. For instance, watermelons Watermelons were not introduced to Japan during the Sengoku era. despite their presence in the game. Why are there watermelons? Watermelons are... I'm sorry, I can't. Watermelons were brought to Japan much later during the Edo period, likely via Chinese traders in the 17th century. The jokes write themselves. Additionally, the game's depiction of Japan's seasons is historically and geographically inaccurate, with cherry blossoms incorrectly shown blooming during summer rather than spring. A glaring mistake given how iconic and culturally significant the Sakura season is in Japan. They hired historians. They said they hired a lady that studied gay relations between monks and young boys. That's who they hired. I bet that part of the story, when that comes up, is going to be super accurate, right? Anyway, so how much did Ubisoft really try to change? According to our source, the most egregious inaccuracies related to Yasuke's betrayal, and efforts were made to mitigate these issues. However, they added there are still individuals within Ubisoft who remain adamant that Yasuke's character will resonate with players and become a success despite backlash and mounting criticism. Either way, it's shaping up to be a terrible month for Assassin's Creed Shadows and an even worse start to the year for Ubisoft. It doesn't help their case that Rise of the Ronin, another samurai-themed game developed by Team Ninja, the creators of Neo and Ninja Gaiden, has been well received and recently announced its PC release date for March 11th, just 9 days before Shadows. Oh god, the timing will certainly siphon players away from Ubisoft, especially since Rise of the Ronin is expected to deliver a far more accurate and authentic samurai experience. One can't help but wonder if this was a deliberate move by the Japanese developers of Rise of the Ronin. You know it was. Anyway, to send a pointed message to Ubisoft about their blatant historical ignorance. I suspect we'll soon hear more insider leaks about the troubled production of Shadows once the game officially releases, which, based on current projections, seem destined for a lukewarm reception. But before that, we got a month more of this crap. Anyway, what do you think, guys? Do you think February is going to get any better news for these guys, or what? I mean, this is the first I've heard about the watermelons. I'm sorry, man. That's funny. And it's funny for the obvious racial stereotype reasons. It's funny. You know, who put that in there? I want to know which liberal white woman's like, oh, we got a black guy. We got to put some watermelons in there for him because the blacks like the watermelons. Oh, God, why? Why? Anyway, leave a like on the video down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And ring that bell for notifications. We're going to keep an eye on this game. I can't wait to watch it crap to bed. I'll see you next time. Until then, peace.